Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend, and I hope you're doing well. So go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. This is a great way to help out the channel. Or check out the link in the description where you can make a one-time donation or support my efforts here for $3 a month, as we are a viewer-funded channel and YouTube will not monetize us. Without further ado, guys, let's see what we got today. We are live.
The human biofield, what people know as an aura, is thought to be a kind of a bubble around the person. But you have to realize every part in our physical body has energy. So the calcium that make up the skeletal structure, the bones, are all emitting energy. And the blood, it's all red little blood cells that each one has Fe, iron in it. It has a different field of energy. And our neurons working and sending with sodium and potassium, all of this electricity running through our brain and spine and nerves, it has another level of electricity. So when talking about a human energy field, next time try sensing. You might be able to feel these different layers inside.
Very interesting. See where it goes.
The first thing we do is, for sitting meditation, we take off our shoes. For a newcomer to Buddhism, we do suggest sitting in the quarter lotus position. It means that one foot is above the other calf. And then our hands are placed in the meditation mudra. So left hand bottom, right hand top. During the process of meditation, if the mind wanders around, emotions arise, what we do is remind ourselves what we should be doing at the present moment. Whatever has happened in the past is history, nothing for us to bother ourselves over. What has yet to come is the future, something that does not require speculation. The most important thing at this particular point is now, just to become aware of the present moment. So the whole purpose of meditation is not to sit like a rock and be lifeless. Meditation is part of a framework of practices which allow us to return to the wisdom that all of us have. And this wisdom allows us to see reality as it is.
Next.
And essentially, it's taming the mind to where it doesn't think.
I think one of the craziest things that doesn't get talked about enough is these monks that are able to sit in freezing cold temperatures and regulate their body temperature. And they're literally able to do this just through breath work and meditation. So I'm going to be dropping a ton of videos in my series, How to Heal, and we're going deep into breath work and meditation over the next few weeks. Because the science is astounding. If there is any one skill that you should learn today that is going to change your life in such major ways, it is this. In the 1980s, Harvard ran experiments on these monks, and what they found was crazy. These monks could meditate, they take in 64% less oxygen, they could go into freezing environments and control their body temperature. They would even wrap them in wet blankets in these freezing temperatures, and the monks would dry it by regulating their body temperature. They'll hook up sensors to these monks while they're in a meditative state, and they'll see how different parts of their brains are engaged. They are able to do things that most people would say humans can't do. There's one really cool study that everyone should look into, and it's called The Happiest Brain in the World. Oh, but those are monks. They spend so much time doing it. I'm not going to be able to do it. Wrong. Sure, you're not going to be able to regulate your body temperature, but stress reduction, focus, brain function, regulating your mood, all of that is obtainable so quickly. And I know this because it happened to me. So I have like ADHD, I'm go, go, go. It's really tough for me to focus sometimes. And meditation never really worked for me because the only meditation I would do was like the popular, mindfulness meditation, and I wasn't able to focus. I got bored. It is only when I discovered there are hundreds of meditation techniques where I found one that worked for me, and it is insane. I literally can regulate my mood at any point. Put me in a super stressful environment, something big happens in my life, something comes crashing down, but my brain, my emotions are no longer in control. I sit down, I meditate, and I get back to center, and it's all good. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. Because the only reason that more people aren't meditating is they haven't found a technique that works for them. You're not bad at meditating. You just need to find the right tool. So in these next videos, we're going to be talking about all the tools that you can have access to. Next video is going to be the common misconceptions about what meditating is and isn't. I promise you, if there is any skill or anything that is worth your effort, it is this. It is life-changing. Love you, bye.
Well, let's check some of them out.
I used to think that things like psychedelic mushrooms were the only way to have a visionary trip. But as I started learning more cool shit, I realized that people have actually been accessing these hallucinatory states in all sorts of crazy ways for thousands of years. People have reported insane trips from things like yoga, meditation, and sensory deprivation, which leads me to the most insane way that I personally have induced a psychedelic experience. But before I tell you about this terrifyingly easy way to have a psychedelic trip, we gotta talk about shamans. Throughout history and across the world, one figure appears in virtually all societies: the shaman. These are the spiritual explorers, the ones who venture into realms unseen and act as bridges to other dimensions. As I explored how different cultures have defined and shaped the role of shamans, I noticed a clear pattern. One tool in particular stood out, used by a vast majority of shamans worldwide throughout history to navigate the depths of the mind. This discovery led me to one surprising question: are drums themselves psychedelic? When I first started this project, I was hoping to find maybe a fun way to relax my mind or try something that my ancient ancestors did. But instead, I found something entirely different and something that continues to challenge my perception of this reality to this day. I don't know how to explain this story rationally. So yes, this is a cartoon that I made, but it's also real. This was my real subjective experience. So I just wanted to get that out there for anyone interested in these types of things. Just be careful. If you yourself are not a shaman, please be careful. Have fun. Thanks for watching my video. And most importantly, if you try this yourself and get sucked out of your body too, you can't blame me. I warned you. To dive deeper into this, we need a better understanding of something called the shamanic journey. Practices vary from culture to culture, but the basic idea is to put a person deep into a meditative trance. This sweet spot in human consciousness is the gateway through which they enter other dimensions. Using techniques honed and handed down through generations, shamans can explore these spiritual worlds and bring back insights to heal and enlighten their communities. After thousands of years of exploration and practice trying to replicate these experiences, the results are clear. The simplest and most common method to have your own journey is through the drum. Which brings me to the one and only time I tried this incredibly awful meditation. It was a few weeks ago in the middle of the day when I had some quiet time. From the comfort of my room, I sprawled out flat in bed and played drum beats for shamanic journeying on my speakers. Normally, my first few minutes of an unguided meditation take great effort to kind of stay focused and empty my mind, but I found that the deep bass of the drums made it actually incredibly easy to just clear my thoughts. I focused on the subtle changes in the drummer's rhythm as the beat pounded on, and within what felt like minutes, slipped away into a very deep meditative state, and a state that I've only felt a few times before through hypnosis techniques. I will admit, in the beginning, at least, that was the fastest and most gentle transition into a deep trance that I have ever experienced. So, point 1 for shamanic drumming. In what seemed like 5 minutes, I started to feel my body disappear. Slowly, starting at my feet and rolling up through my body, came a wave of energy that consumed my sense of self. I felt like I didn't have a body. As I transitioned to this kind of ghost body, I also started to see something appear in the darkness of my closed eyes. The darkness got brighter and turned into a foggy gray, and through this haze I saw my own body lying on the bed. I had apparently astral projected.
Well,
People are asking me about the human aura and how to see it. And I tell you, when you look in the beginning, it's white. And when you start to learn, you start to see colors, because you need to slow down. When you slow down, you see there's a lot of color. But you need to learn to slow down. There's different frequencies, there's different energies at play, and you can't just look at it the way you're used to looking at the physical world. You need to see the unseen, and for that, you need a different rhythm. Try it.
I mean, it makes sense.
The following film shows the human energy field radiating outward from the body. It dynamically changes based on the physical conditions, the feeling states, the motivations of the person, in interaction with energy radiation from objects and living things. The existence of the human energy field, or the aura, was validated and studied by over 12 years of high-frequency recordings. This film shows the field not ordinarily seen, but now visible. Like all living things, this little dog has a sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with. Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also, the electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as are waves or tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement. No wonder that a day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains. Most of us believe that it is relaxation and beauty which refreshes us. From our research, we have discovered that living plants and rarefied atmosphere provide a richer field of negative ions, which heightens and replenishes our own energy field. Notice that the man's field becomes light in color and high in frequency. It sparkles and radiates some distance from his body. See that as the child moves into the mother's field, the affection between them changes the overall field to a pink color. Individuals' fields blend and enhance when there is a warm, caring relationship. These energy fields are the largest and the whitest that we have shown. She is oming. On the breath inhalation, the radiant field diminishes, and on exhalation, it expands and envelops the child. We have known for a long time that Gregorian chants, oming, humming, singing, and whistling create an energy which perks up emotions and brings an expanded consciousness.
Fascinating.
Let's get into this thing right here. And just a little hint, it correlates to the double slit experiment, because waves 369 is the fundamental meaning of the whole universe. Also, this is really why the Holy Cross is so symbolic and important to us. Let's consider this basic unit of measurement, layer 0. Every single thing that exists has an origin point, right at its center. And this is relative to each individual thing. You, from wherever you're watching, are at the center of your own reality and your own universe. A dog, if you have one, it's at the center of its own reality, and etc., etc., etc. This point is going to radiate light in and out of itself, because light is energy, or a form of it anyways. Upon expanding to a certain point, it's going to meet that kind of first level of measurement above and below itself. Because it's radiating perfectly from its center, it's going to meet these 2 points at the same time. And because of that, it's going to need a way to distinguish it. This is where we start getting as above, so below. These two things are technically the same, but they're reflections of one another. So for the sake of sanity of this thing, it's going to define this is up and this is down in one infinite possibility of things. Like for your finite possibility of things as a human. You're living on this plane of existence being held down by gravity. Also, when it comes to the visible light spectrum, the red is actually the longest wavelength, aka the lowest vibration. The high end is like this violet pinkish color. But that's not what we see here. So why? Once it radiates to a new point, it kind of solidifies that, and that too will start to radiate. Except both of these are happening at the same time. I can't draw that because I am merely a human. Imagine I did those two like simultaneously. And so this is like this little orange space that overlaps, and this is a green space that overlaps. And that makes sense according to, this stuff over here. Because purple is the end of our light spectrum, it's also the beginning. By the time it meets these two polars, and these have combined, you now start to get purple. Also, all the while, the light has kind of kept expanding into these points that you've added onto it, and then when it expands to those points, it can include the new polars within it. And so here's what I mean by that. This is a really, really terrible example because I'm trying to do this all at the same time. When you align each of these colored points to the chakras, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar, your sacral, and your root, this actually becomes the human body. Everything just lines up.
Okay.
The human aura is a living, breathing happening. It's always changing, it's coming and going, things are coming in, things are going out, but it has to maintain a specific energy level. And sometimes people say, I'm tired, or I don't have energy, or I can't really do this now. And when they come over and they say, can you help me? And I look at their aura, often they have a situation of energy leakage, or you could even say there's like a hole in the aura. And it starts with a crack or a rupture, but then energy starts seeping out. A bit like a balloon, if you have a hole, the air keeps going out until it's totally depleted. So the thing about the human aura is when there's a hole, energy is going out, and people have to manufacture energy, but most people don't know how to do that, and therefore they feel tired. So part of the process of actually cleaning a person's aura and recharging it is finding where there are these thin areas that are about to tear. And it can be because a person's worried and they keep kind of sending energy to a certain area. It can also be energy from outside where people, are angry at someone, or, people could even send malicious thoughts at a person. And then you get this area where something sticks onto the aura and starts like acid to eat in. It's like if you park a car under a tree and bird droppings fall on the roof. If you don't clean them, they'll slowly start to eat through the metal. That's why you keep the car clean, you wash it, you polish it with wax. A similar thing has to be taken into account with the human aura. Because if the aura is not kept clean, if certain areas start to get bumps and lumps and holes, the person will start to lose energy. And that's very important because then the immunity system doesn't work as well as it should. And then, especially these days, other things can get in even if they're not energy. So the aura is alive. And we know this even from language, where you go to sleep and you sleep tight. And when you wake up, you're wide awake. The energy is constantly moving and shifting. And we should be keeping our aura clean. We should be making sure that if things are stuck on it, someone will help us clean it off. Or self-healing, which is a whole topic that really needs to be understood. So I think there's a lot of maintenance people can do for themselves. And, from how they think and what they feel, and many, many things that are a natural process of healing. And sometimes, yes, sometimes people need to get help. Just like you go for a doctor if you have a cut in your arm, you need help if there's a cut in the aura.
Okay, I mean, it also makes sense.
The science behind Om chanting freaking blows my mind. It's funny because people that have no experience with meditation or anything like that, you've seen it in the movies, right? Anybody that's meditating, it's always Om, Om. Well, the science behind it is crazy. Like this study, they looked at Brahmari Pranayama, humming, also known as Om chanting, to see how it impacts your stress. They compared it to physical activity, emotional stress, and literally getting 8 hours of sleep. And guess what? Guess what was the best thing for you? Om chanting. It literally lowered the stress index more than sleeping. Oh, you're congested in your nose? You have chronic stuffiness? Yeah, chanting Om, that'll take care of it for you. Want to raise your immunity, have better lung function, and reduce your heart rate? Om chanting is the answer. It's just insane to me because there are so many benefits, and like even from like a religious perspective, they believe that Om, A-U-M, is the primordial sound. It is the sound of all creation. If you go into space, that humming you hear, that is Om. It is the vibration of creation. So how do you do it? I've got a clip for you.
Okay. And it's really simple. We're just going to emit sound with an open mouth, and then we're going to go all the way to a closed mouth. That's all Om chanting is. If you literally look at the actual translation of Om, it's not O-M, it's A-U-M. It's because with a completely open mouth, with a half open mouth, and then with a fully closed mouth, that's what Om chanting is. So we're going to go from start to finish, A through U all the way to M. And we kind of want to do it in a gradual way. So we want the whole thing to maybe last 9, 10, 12 seconds, something like that. So we're going to open our mouths, do it with me. That's one.
So Om chanting isn't literally saying Om, it is just pushing that sound out. Okay? The next video, we're gonna go into like a meditation technique using Om chanting, and it is crazy. This is probably the #1 technique where it's like if you do it and you pay attention to the vibrations within your body, you go inwards, you get downloads from the universe, and it's so hard to explain, you just have to experience it. Love you, bye.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, first is Hari Om Namo. Okay, Hari Om. Okay, Hari. You start deep. See, you Hari, and when you go Re, you can feel the vibration change your body. Hari Om. Now it's up here in the facial structure and in the sinuses. Om Namo Shivaya. That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Try that. I dare you. I dare you to try that. Do that like 20 times in a row. You'll float.
Yeah, it feels like you're floating if you do it right.
What about the Akashic Records? Also described as the cosmic knowledge, it can be accessed through mind and conscious enlightenment. The Akashic Records can be described as a non-physical library which contains information from the past, present, and future of all lives and the universe. The concept of the Akashic Records can be found in almost every major ancient civilization. The term itself comes from ancient India. Akasha means upper sky. But what does science say about it? Quantum physics study the behavior of matter and energy. And then there's the Akashic field theory, a quantum field that goes beyond space and time. It's a field of information that connects everything. Multiple scientists documented the evidence of this field of energy and found that it exists from the very beginning, that it has intelligence and responds to very specific qualities of human emotions. What do you think about the records? A lot of famous people in the past say that they had access to the records. Wanna know who? Check out part 2.
The Akashic Records is an energetic database or field that contains the collective consciousness of every soul that has ever lived. It is believed to hold information about past, present, and future events, as well as insights into our soul's journey, purpose, and potential. The Akashic Records are often described as a vibrational library that individuals can access to gain wisdom, clarity, and guidance and exist on a higher plane of existence beyond our physical reality. They are accessible through a deep state of consciousness, transcending time and space. Accessing the Akashic Records offers an opportunity for personal growth, healing, and spiritual transformation. There are several approaches to accessing the Akashic Records, each involving a different level of consciousness and practice. Here are a few common methods: meditation and visualization. Enter a meditative state by focusing the mind and calming the body. Visualize yourself entering a sacred space, such as a library or expansive field. Request access to the Akashic records and open yourself to receiving information and insights. Pay attention to any symbols, images, or messages that arise. Sacred rituals. Create a sacred space and set intentions to connect with the Akashic records. Use tools such as crystals, candles, incense, or sacred sounds to create an atmosphere conducive to spiritual connection. Engage in rituals that help shift your awareness and deepen your connection to the records. Prayer and intention. Invoke higher spiritual beings, guides, or your higher self through prayer, affirmations, or intention. Request access to the Akashic records and ask for specific insights or guidance. Be open and receptive to receiving information in different forms, such as sensations, sounds, or intuitive knowings.
Akashic readings are readings of your aura and the energy and timelines that are all plugged into your auras. So like, let's say you had a life here, you know, at the 1500s, and then up here in your aura is your 1800 life, and then up here at 2023 is your other life, which is attached to your aura. And what happens is when a person does an Akashic reading, what they're doing is they're reading your energy print. So the energy that's all around you, and they're tapping into that. So this aura and this essence, which is all around you, holds data. That's basically what it is. There's data floating around you at all times. So when you go to meet people, you're actually reading their data, and then you're reading their past and their future and all of these things, and then you go to meet somebody and you're like, wow, I kind of know this person. I never knew that your energy was the same as mine. Oh, because we had some past life in the thing, or we had some energy timeline that mixed together just like that. Because everything is happening all the time at the exact same time.
We are more ignorant about consciousness than we are distant galaxies that formed 10 billion years ago, more ignorant about consciousness than we are about the inner nucleus of an atom. Why? Because we're not looking. The Buddhists have about a 2,500-year head start on us on that one. Because I've been studying Western theories, materialistic theories of mind for about 30 years now. What's interesting is I've not found one theory, and John knows perfectly well there's a lot of theories, property dualism, substitutalism, and so forth. There's some neuroscientists believe consciousness doesn't exist. There's a philosopher who believes that appearances don't exist. There's some really white, cockeyed theories out there. What I've noticed they all have in common is not a single one is empirically testable. They're just beliefs. What happens if you spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day probing into the nature of your mind from a first-person perspective, and your mind, with all of its human thoughts, perceptions, memories, and so forth, is calmed to the point of silence? You comment in your book, Sean, silence is possible, but your heart keeps on beating. Fine, but withdraw your awareness from your body. Withdraw it entirely into the mind, which happens when you're dreaming, when you're going to deep sleep. Let your mind shut down in terms of all of the explicit cognitive activity, emotional and so forth. And what has been discovered, and I'll just say has been discovered, is that you move beyond that whole dimension, which is the only dimension that modern science knows about, the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, that's it. You move beyond both of those. You penetrate through both of those to an underlying, now I'm going to use the word underlying continuum of consciousness that's purely mental, but it's not human. There's nothing human about it. It has no gender, no personal history. It's a simple continuum of cognizance, a flow of consciousness. And it, and not the brain, is the repository of memories. Now here's the hypothesis. I'm not asking anybody to believe this. Just as Sean said, you may not believe what I'm saying, so feel free to disagree. I'm saying something that is not simply conjecture or belief, but this is something that's been discovered and rediscovered hundreds and hundreds of times over the last 2,500 years and longer. Penetrate through your psyche to a deeper level of consciousness, an underlying level of consciousness that isn't even human. And that's the actual repository of memories. The brain is the keyboard, this underlying continuum is the hard drive, if we want to use the hackneyed computer analogy. Now that's said to be a discovery that's been replicated thousands of times. And they'll tell you exactly how you can put this to the test.
Well, there you go. So, You know, meditation is wild stuff. I have tried it before. The analogy that was given to me was the mind is like a wild horse, and you're trying to tame it. And when you try to think of nothing, obviously, you just can't help it. It's very, very difficult. But apparently when you can achieve this, you can enter different dimensions, you can access the Akashic records, as they say. So this was a really good introduction video to this. We'll get into it a little bit more as we go on. But yeah, that's all I got today, guys. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow in the next one. And until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.